Hello, Wonderland. For today's adventure, I have come back to the Halloween haunt at King's Dominion for my second visit of this season. Maybe my last. It's the week before Halloween weekend, so we'll see. But yeah, I was here for opening night, and it was lovely. But I wanted to come back and do the stuff that I didn't get to do that night, so I'm here. And my last couple videos about the haunt have been just about the haunt, but today I wanted to talk more about photography. Because one of the things I really enjoy about these events is taking pictures while I'm here. So for years I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando and kind of honed my skills taking pictures at these kind of events. So thought I would give you some tips on how to shoot these things, what settings to use, kind of my tips and tricks, if you will. Hopefully I'll find some good stuff that I can share. But for the kit this evening, I've brought my new R7 with the 35mm f1.8 RF lens. And I've also got a little pouch where I have the 50mm and 16mm RF little pancakey lenses. So kind of going with a budget setup this time around to see what I can do. And since I figure that's probably what more of my viewers might be using, that sort of gear. So yeah, gonna head into the park. It's a little after 5, so I think the first houses or mazes open at 6, and then 7 is when the real thing kicks off. But see what I can see beforehand, and we'll get going. All right, stay tuned. Yeah. Okay, we're in the park. Now, I usually like to get to these things before dark. That way you can roam around, take pictures of the scenery. There's usually lots of decor. So like this guy over here, lovely. And that's the entrance of the facade of one of the houses right here, corn stalkers. So yeah, that all makes for good anything. It's kind of like shooting a wedding, right? Anything the bride and groom paid for, you want to take a picture of. So it's kind of similar at these things. Anything that the theme park or event venue paid to put up might be worth shooting. So yeah, stroll around, see what we can see. I see something cool around the corner here, so yeah, shooting. So obviously, this time of day, still light out, use your normal photography techniques. I'll be back with some more specialty stuff later as it gets darker. Okay. Future Kelly here real quick. I realized I'm probably not going to get enough photos tonight to illustrate all the points that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to be tossing in some photos from over the years, both here and Horror Nights in Orlando. So I'll label them. Yeah. So I can call out the ones that I'm shooting tonight versus what I've gotten in the past, and maybe some other stuff to illustrate the concepts that I'm talking about. But anyway, okay, back to Past Kelly. When it comes to taking pictures in houses, you really can't. I mean, there's ways. I used to do a little thing where I would have my camera on my neck strap and kind of surreptitiously with a wide angle lens and, you know, high ISO, wide open aperture, kind of try to snap random point and pray things as I walk through. But I got a few decent shots that way. Maybe I'll come up with some here that I can show you. But generally speaking, not great, and usually the rules say no photography in the houses, and I try to respect that these days. So yeah, if you can get a lights on tour, which you can at like Halloween Horror Nights, that's the way to go, because then you can really take your time. look at the details. It's great. Yeah, but while you're going through, you don't want to screw up anybody else's experience. So obviously you're not going to be pausing and framing a shot using flash, anything like that. So okay, the light's fading, so I'm going to keep walking around. I think there's another house open at this point. I'll see if the line is good for that. And then I'll do some other houses too. But once it gets fully dark, go around some more and give you some tips. Okay, stay tuned. I said that before. Okay. Done 3 houses so far. Yeah, and it's only like 8:30. I don't know. Anyway, next photo tip: merchandise. Sounds a little silly, I know, but sometimes there'll be little vendors selling things, or even in the gift shops, they'll have some nice themed little doodads, trinkets, little things to set the mood. So that can be fun to shoot. And they stand still, which is easy. So yeah, that's a tip. Okay. Okay, another good tip: long exposures. So for scenery, things that are standing still, it can be handy to drag your shutter to get a good exposure, obviously. And with mirrorless cameras, modern cameras, where you've got lens stabilization and in-body stabilization, hopefully, like on the R7 that I'm using, you can really drop your shutter speed to, I'm hand holding up to like 0.8 of a second here for some things, just to get kind of light cycles as lights go on and off in different patterns. It can be handy to use a long exposure to kind of capture all of that. Scenery, obviously, and crowds. So that's a handy thing. When you're shooting, say, a scenery like a scare zone where there's a lot going on, but there's people moving through it, if you drag your shutter to like half a second, the people that are moving become shadows, basically. If you do long enough, they disappear completely because they just don't register as they pass through. But here you've got a lot of people milling around and really not moving all that much. So I've been shooting at like a second, just to get some blur in the people, some shadows. Because at an event like this, they kind of end up looking like ghosts, which is pretty fun. I've got an old shot from Horror Nights in Orlando that's one of my favorites. I'll show that. And I think I got a couple this year as well. And here I've been trying it here and there. So I'll show you some of those. Yeah. And of course, amusement park rides and long exposures can be great. there I am. Okay, let's talk lighting. So these events tend to have a lot of interesting lighting going on, right? So different colored lights, flashing lights, all kinds of lights. So that gives you photographic material. You can look for things that are lit interestingly, shadows, highlights, all that kind of stuff. Now, in some cases, they just kind of slap up a colored light and call that a decoration, which, you know, it's a neat effect sometimes, but it makes for some weird photographs if you're taking pictures of things that you expect to look a certain way and then there's a light that makes it not look that way. So what I tend to do in those cases is look for monochrome image opportunities. So obviously black and white negates the color, so then you're just looking at tones, composition, that kind of stuff. So that can be good opportunities as well. Alright, scare zones. So I think most Halloween events have scare zones, which are areas that you walk through with various scary things in the fog to jump out at you or come up behind you, charge you. Here they slide at you on hands and feet, which is kind of cool. But anyway, they presented interesting opportunities. Different kinds of photos you can get in those. So obviously you can look for the decor and the characters themselves. They tend to kind of hide and then jump out at people because that's the whole idea. So I recommend you stalk the characters yourself. Look for one who's hiding, ready to hop out, or then track him and get him as he scares people. That can be fun. Or her. Or you can get guests that are being scared, or use the long exposure trick that I mentioned earlier to make the guests into ghosts, basically. All good stuff. Lots of opportunities. You can just kind of camp out in a scare zone and get lots of good photos of the characters and everything else going on. That's my tip for those. let's talk shows. So there's usually stage shows at these events. I'm actually here in a cover band concert going on right now, and the opening show every night is pretty fun. And then there was a kind of a stunt show after that, so took some pictures of all that. That's pretty basic concert photography stuff. The lighting is usually fairly consistent, so manual mode is your friend. Dial in the lighting, the settings for the lighting that give you a shutter speed that work for the occasion. Usually you kind of want to freeze motion, obviously, so I go like 1/200th or so. If you want to blur the motion, like there's a fire twirler or dancers that you kind of want to get their face frozen but their body in motion, maybe 1/100th, 1/60th, somewhere around there. So you can play around, but generally you want to dial in your shutter speed, widest aperture you can use, depending on the lighting. Some shows are well enough lit that you can stop down your aperture a bit, but usually I go wide open. And then your ISO, whatever makes it work. But that can be fun, trying to capture the moment. So take a lot of photos, obviously, and then cull it when you get home. Pick the decisive moments. And that can be fun. I love these events because they're really a combination of everything I like about photography, right? So there's concert type stuff, there's scary stuff, atmospheric stuff, scenery, people, you name it, it's all here. So that's why I like capturing these things photographically. So back to it. Alright, I've basically shut this place down tonight. It's 10 o'clock, closing time on a Sunday night. So, made it through just about everything, I think. I didn't really hit the carnival scare zone after Haunt started, but otherwise, I think I did all the houses, the mazes, most of the scare zones, few of the shows. It's a good night. Really liked everything. Yeah, this is a good event. I wish it would change a little more from year to year, but at least they added one new house this year, 21, which I actually just got out of, and that was really good. It was really good. Liked that one a lot. And the characters here are just funny, which is great. So anyway, that'll wrap it up for this episode. I hope you got something out of this. Yeah, these are great events to hone your photographic skills. There's videography stuff you can learn here too, of course. Really, I'm just talking about still photography right now, but yeah. If you make it to your local friendly neighborhood Halloween event, some tips you can use, hopefully. Okay, so until next time, be good to yourself. Don't forget to be awesome. Get out there and wander. Happy Halloween, by the way. Okay, later.